Hey guys, Carl from Purple Moose Plays. Today I'm actually going to be taking a look at two games, and I'm going to be covering the first two games in the Hunted series, Kobayashi Tower and Mining Colony 415, from designer Gabe Barrett and publisher Barrett Publishing. In this series, the player finds themselves either in the Die Hard universe or the Aliens universe, working through a sort of card-based, stealthy, push-your-luck survival game. And as you work through the deck, you're going to be unlocking locations, fighting off enemies, saving hostages, collecting crew, and discovering weapons and items along the way. I do need to mention up front that I was given review copies from the publisher, but as always, I will do my best to give you my true feelings on the game. And of course, I've also got the playthrough so you can make your own decisions along the way. Now with all that being said, let's head down to the table to see a playthrough of both of these games, and then I'll meet you back up here to let you know what I think of both of these. To set up a solo game of Hunted Kobayashi Tower, begin by placing this player board out on the table. Placing one cube on the 6 of the health track and the 20 of the time track. Then you're going to start with the handgun weapon and the chocolates item. The handgun will start with 3 reload tokens on the card and 4 blue dice representing the ammo in the gun. Next, you're going to take the hunted card deck, which represents the majority of the cards in the game. Give that a good shuffle and place that over here on the table. Next, you're going to take the location deck, find the card marked roof and remove that from the deck. Shuffle the remaining cards and take the top 14 cards. To make up your deck for the game, returning the remaining location cards back to the box. Finally, you will take the top 2 cards of the location deck, add the roof into those, shuffle those cards up, and place those 3 at the bottom of your location deck. And then you'll set the location deck up here at the top of the play area. Finally, set all remaining tokens and remaining dice off to the side of the play area for use during the game. Now, rather than trying to explain the details of every step of how the game works before we get into it, I think it's going to make a lot more sense if I sort of explain each type of card as it comes out through play. So I just want to begin by giving a sort of broad overview of what's going on, and then I'll get into the details as we get into our playthrough. So through this game, we're going to be making our way through this tower, playing through these cards, occasionally unlocking locations, with the goal of finally reaching the roof, which is somewhere in the bottom 3 cards of this deck, and then having our final standoff against the main villain, hopefully winning and saving the day. We do start with 2 items, or a weapon and an item down here in our inventory. The handgun is going to be our main weapon, how we're fighting off terrorists as we go through the deck. And the chocolates are basically just going to allow us to discard once to re-roll any dice that we have just rolled. As we go through the deck, we will continue finding weapons, finding items, saving hostages who might help us in some way, fighting off terrorists, and occasionally being tested. There are some cards in the deck that are a test, and we are going to use these white dice for our test. So I'm going to set these white dice here on this card. When we have a health of 6, 5, or 4, we will be rolling 2 dice for a test. And when we have a health of 3, 2, or 1, we will only be rolling 1 die. And I'll explain more about those tests as they come up. And the way that the game is going to play out is on my turn, I have one of 2 possible choices. I could turn over the top deck, adding it to this row here in the center, or I can choose to use 1 time to hide and completely wipe this row. And the reason I'm going to want to do that is many of the cards that come out will have a noise symbol on them. And if there are ever 2 noise symbols showing when a terrorist card is drawn, I will be forced to fight that terrorist. Or likewise, if a second noise is drawn while a terrorist is already in the row, again, I will be forced to fight that terrorist. In addition, if a second terrorist card is ever drawn, I will be forced to fight the stronger of the 2. And you'll see how that comes as we get into the play. So let's go ahead and take our first turn and turn over the top card in the deck. And the top card in the deck we see right here is already our first test. And this says, test. If you fail, take 1 damage and discard a hostage. I don't have any hostages, so that's not going to be a big deal. And 1 damage is not great, but it's not horrible either. But let's see what happens. So this is a test. We're going to roll these 2 dice. And we need to get a 5 or higher on at least 1 die in order to pass the test. And I roll the dice and I got a 3 and a 2, so unfortunately I did not pass this test. I could now discard this chocolates to re-roll those dice in the hope of getting a 5 or higher, but it's early and 1 damage is not going to destroy me, so I'm just going to let that happen, and we will discard that card. So we continue turning over the next card, and here is a hallway card. This card is going to be the first card that we have that allows us to access a location, but let me go ahead and explain some of the things on the card. First, up here in the top left corner is our noise symbol that I mentioned before. If ever we have 2 of these showing and a terrorist is in the row, we will be forced to fight that terrorist. The rest of these symbols, which this card doesn't have any of, are going to be icons that we can use to activate other cards in the row. So for example, this card needs a movement icon to activate this card. So if I could find a movement icon in this area on another card in the row, I can activate this card. And if I activate this hallway card, you'll see this icon up here in the top right corner. This is a location icon. If I am able to activate a location icon, I will turn over the top card of the location deck and do whatever it says on that card. So for now, we'll put this here. We do have 1 noise, which doesn't bother me yet. And we'll turn over the next card. All right, so now we have our 2 noise. But it's early yet, and I don't want to really waste time to hide right away. But let me explain what this new card is. This card is a hostage card. And you'll see here, this is the hostage symbol up here in the top right corner. This also has noise. And this shows a key. So if I had any cards that needed a key to be activated, I could discard this card to use that. If I want to add this hostage to my inventory to make use of later in the game, she would allow me to flip this card to discard a terrorist card that comes out of the deck. But I would need 2 search icons on other cards in the row in order to add this card into my inventory. So we'll put that there, and I'm going to push my luck. I'm not too worried about that noise yet, and if I can get a movement, I can already get my first location. So we'll turn that over. Another hostage. This one says flip this card to add an 8-sided die to a test roll, which is nice. Requires 1 search to add that to my inventory. Didn't really change anything yet. We still have 2 noise, and there could be a terrorist coming at any time, but I'm going to push on. All right, there's a search. This card does have a search. It's another location that requires 2 movement, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to discard this location to add Clarence to my inventory. And yeah, I'm gonna keep pushing on. And I got very lucky. All right, so now I have a movement on this grenade, and I am going to use that movement to activate this hallway, which gets us our first location and also removes that noise. So now I only have 1 noise left, and let's take a look at our first location. We are now in the atrium. The atrium says draw 5 cards. If one of them is a terrorist that attacks you, shuffle the rest back into the deck. So this is not one that I need to test for, it's just automatic. 1, 2, there's a terrorist, we will stop. This gets shuffled back into the deck. And now we will have our first fight with a terrorist. So let's take a look at this terrorist card. Again, first down here in the bottom right corner, you will see these double noise. That just reminds me that if I have 2 noise, I would have activated this terrorist in the row. This number up here in the corner is the number I'm going to need to defeat this terrorist. So I need to roll at least 1 die with a number of 4 or higher to defeat the terrorist. And if I do, I will draw 1 card from the deck. And if that card is an item, a weapon, or a hostage, it will be instantly added to my inventory for free. Now, in order to fight a terrorist, we have to do a couple of things. Number 1, we're going to use 1 time every time we attack a terrorist. And when we attack, we get to choose first which weapon to use and then how much ammo to use. And then we will roll the dice to see what happens. In this case, I have the handgun, which uses 6-sided dice. A full clip has 4 bullets. And I could roll all 4 with a much higher chance of hitting 4 on one of these dice. But I could also choose at any time not to use a weapon and instead just use my fists. And if I do that, I roll 1 6-sided die and I don't have to use any of my ammo. That said, a 4 is a fairly high number. I only have about a 50% chance on one die to hit him. And I don't really want to take damage. If you don't do that, then you will take 1 damage. And every time you miss, you will take another damage. So I'm going to roll 2 dice and hope I can get a 4 or higher on those dice. And look at that, I got lucky. I got exactly a 4. The other one is a 1. Those are no longer bullets. I only have 2 remaining, but I did take out this terrorist. So I get to draw 1 card. And it's a test card, which means it's not an item, weapon, or hostage, so it does not go into my inventory. It simply gets stuck somewhere in the middle of the deck, and we keep going. All right, next card is a door, which is gonna need a key, and guess what? My Sergeant Pratt card right here has a key, so we will activate that location, and that gets me 2 location cards. Anytime you draw more than 1 location card, you get to look at all of them and decide which one you are going to activate. So we've got bathroom and supply room. And bathroom says I can lose 1 time to get a regroup token, and a regroup token is simply a token you can spend once to increase any die roll by 2. And the supply room says I may lose 1 time to draw 4 cards, and if any of them are an item, I get the item into my inventory and then I shuffle them all, the rest of the cards, back into the deck. Yeah, this is a sort of risk because I may get nothing out of it. This automatically gets me a regroup, which could help with a battle and could help with a test and will keep me alive pretty well. So I'm going to hold on to that bathroom card. And I just realized I forgot to activate or lose 1 time for the battle that I just finished. So I'll go ahead and do that before I forget. And now I'm going to spend 1 time for the bathroom in order to take 1 regroup token, which I will place right here for now. And we continue on. There's a terrorist card. Now this terrorist card actually has 2 terrorists, and we would need to roll 2 dice that each have a 4 or higher to defeat them, which means this is a pretty nasty card, but we get to draw 2 cards from the deck when we defeat them. I don't want to fight them, but there's no noise yet, and the chances of the next card being a terrorist are probably not huge. So let's see what happens. It's not, but it is a noise. I'm going to use a time to hide. I really don't want to fight a double 4. So they go away. And we'll keep going. All right, a hallway, we need 2 movement. A door, we've got 1 movement. We also need a key to unlock the door. I would love that because that gets me 2 location again. The hallway only gets me 1 location for 2 movement, which is not great. But let's see what comes. We've got a hostage. We've got a terrorist. I don't want to fight him, but he is a single terrorist, and we do have a regroup token, and I'd love to get one of these locations activated, so I'm going to keep going. And we got a test, so let's take care of the test. The test says if you fail, take a damage and discard a hostage. That's not great because we do have a hostage there. So we roll our test dice. I got a 2 and a 2, which is not great. I don't want to take a damage and lose a hostage. I am going to use my chocolates to re-roll those dice. And we lost the die, but the one that stayed in the tray is a 5. I do succeed my test. So that goes away. And I am going to push on. Unfortunately, while we did get a second movement, which could have been used for the hallway, that is our second noise. So those go away. And we do have to fight this terrorist. So I'm going to use him one time to fight him. I'm going to use 2 bullets again to shoot. We need 1 die with a 4 or higher. I got a 4 and a 6, so we easily defeat the terrorist, and we take 1 card, which is great because it is a weapon. I've got a shotgun. So I get to add that shotgun to my inventory for free, which comes with 2 clips and comes preloaded with 2 10-sided dice. That's huge. And let me explain what that means. When we roll a large die, for example, an 8-sided or a 10-sided die, if, for example, we had that last card that had 2 4s on it, if I could roll an 8 or higher, I could take out both of those enemies with 1 die. So that's really cool to have a big die. And the shotgun lets me have 2 that I could potentially fire at the same time. But now we're out of bullets in the handgun. Before we move on, let me explain how reloading works. In order to reload, we're going to use 1 time, and we're going to refill a weapon up to its maximum ammo amount. So in the case, for example, that I used 1 shotgun shell, if I reloaded the shotgun before firing the second shell, I would only get 1 back. But I am going to go ahead and reload the handgun by using 1 time and getting all 4 bullets back in the handgun. And then we will continue moving on. Here's a door. I need a key. All right. Another hostage. Ooh, that's a really nasty group of terrorists. 2, 3, 5, 3 terrorists. So I'm actually going to hide and clear that row because we've already got 1 noise and I don't want to fight them. So we keep going. Test. Fire alarm. Succeed and discard a terrorist from the row, or draw until you find one and discard it. That's great. Let's see if we can succeed. The other great thing is I don't lose anything for failing this one. And here I got a 5. The other die went off the screen, but it is a 2 anyway. So we did succeed in the test, which means I get to draw until I find a terrorist card. And the rest get shuffled back in. Wow. All right. So we lose this 5, which is great because a 5 is hard to hit. And the rest of these cards will be shuffled back into the deck. And then we discard the test that we finished. And we keep moving on. There's a radio. The radio will allow us to draw 3 cards. And then if any of those cards are terrorists, they're discarded. And here's a 3-4 terrorist, and we've already got a noise out. I'm going to push once to see what happens, because we've got some nice weapons. Test. Negotiate. If you succeed, gain 2 time. If you fail, lose 1 time. I would love to get some time back. So let's see what happens. 6. We succeed. That's great. So I get 2 time back. And I'm going to keep pushing. And there's my second noise. That's not great. All right, so we're fighting a 3-4 enemy. I could potentially hit them with a shotgun and get both of them with 1, but I need a 7, 8, 9, or 10 on a 10-sided die. And I rolled a 9, which means they are both killed with 1 shotgun shell. That was great. I get to draw 2 cards. And I get to keep a grenade, which is a single 1-use 8-sided die. And this gets placed back in the middle of the deck. But I forgot to lose a time to fight them. All right, and we keep going. Machine gun would be nice, but I'm okay for right now. I need to start finding some stuff. All right, I can use this movement to activate this card, which is a distraction. And this distraction is just going to let me discard this card to re-roll a die. So that's nice to have. I'll place that down here, and we keep going. Ammo. Test. Search pockets. If you succeed, gain a key. That would be amazing to have a key. And of course I roll double ones. We don't get a key. Next card is a double movement for a location. I've got one so far. Let's keep going and see what happens. Perfect. 2 movement I will spend to activate this hallway card, and we get our next location, which is the hotel room. It says, you may lose 1 time to draw the top 3 hunted cards. Place them back on top of the deck in any order. I will do that. I lose 1 time. Draw the top 3 cards. They are both noise and a terrorist. So I know if those both come out and then he does, I get a battle. He's also only a 3. The other option is I put him on top. I draw these 2 and hide, and then another one comes out. I like that. Let's do that. So I'm going to draw this card, then I'm going to draw this card, then I'm going to hide. Those go away. And we keep going. Radio. All right, we've got double noise, but we've also got double movement, which would be great for a location if I get lucky. I'm pushing. Of course, the location we get needs a key. We don't have any of those, and that's triple noise. But more than 2 doesn't change anything, so why not keep going to get rid of some of that noise? And there's a hallway with a 1 movement. So I'm going to use this with the smoke bomb to turn over 1 more location, which is the restaurant. And says, if I succeed, I will gain a radio card from the deck or the discard pile and then reshuffle. Otherwise, I fail and take 1 damage. So let's try our test. We got our 5. So I need to find a radio card either in the discard or the deck. Let me see if there's one in here first. There is. So I will get this radio card and add that to my inventory. And what this is going to do is let me draw 3 cards, and if any of them are terrorists, they get discarded. So we've already got 2 noise out here. I'm going to do that anyway. I'll do that right now and draw 3 cards. And there is a terrorist. It's only a 3 though, but that's okay. And these 2 get shuffled back in. And I'm gonna keep pushing. All right, there's our triple noise. I could use those to get the radio. Yeah, let's do that. I'm gonna use these 2 cards with their searches to get this radio. That clears the whole row of noise. And that radio will be helpful to have, so we keep going. There's a regroup. I could use a time to get a regroup token. No, not yet. Let's see what happens next. Test. If you succeed, search the deck or discard pile for a radio. Add it to my inventory. Okay, this is the same as the last time. Let's see if we get a radio again. We do. With a 5, I get a radio again. So let's just fish out that radio we already had. That goes away. I'm going to draw 1 more card. Is another regroup. All right, so I might as well use one of these. Use a time to get another regroup token. I haven't used the first one. Now I have 2 of them. So now I'm not so worried about fighting right now. But we might as well use one of these radio cards just to get it out of our hand. Draw the top 3 cards. And of course, none of them are terrorists, and they would have been working very well with that card, but we will shuffle and keep going. All right, so the next card we turn over is a test. If you fail, take 2 damage. Let's not fail. We fail, but I have the ability, yeah, let's just do that. I'm gonna use my regroup +2 to turn that 3 into a 5. I don't take any damage. We keep going. Another hostage. We've got double noise, which I don't particularly like, but that's a key, which would be great if we can find a door. So we do not. But I will use this regroup card to use the search to take this distraction. We've now got 2 distractions that allow us to re-roll dice. We've got a regroup. We've got a card that lets us add to a test. We're doing very well. So let's keep moving on. There's a hallway that needs 2 movement for a location. There's a hallway that needs 1 movement for a location. We don't have any movement yet. And there's a hallway that needs 1 movement again. Wow, we could get lucky if we start finding some stuff. And there's a movement. It's also a med kit, which could be nice to have to heal ourselves later. But we're doing pretty well. And I'd rather use this to activate a location because I need to get through this location deck to win the game. So we've got the surveillance room. It says you may lose 1 time to draw the top 3 cards, discard 1, place 1 on the bottom, and place 1 on the top. Yeah, why not? So we'll lose a time. We'll take the top 3 cards. Haha, that's great. We get 2 terrorists and an item. So this terrorist I will discard. This I will place on top of the deck. And this I will place on the bottom of the deck. And also what that means is when I turn this over, now I have a movement which I can use to activate this other hallway and get another location. This time we are in the guard station. We may lose 2 time to draw cards until we find a weapon card and place that weapon in my inventory and reshuffle. I'm doing okay with weapons right now. I'm not going to waste 2 time for that. So let's keep moving. Aha, great. We found a door. We've got the key from here. Mr. Kobayashi is giving us the key. So we're going to open that door, which gets us 2 more locations. So we've got a choice of vault or elevator shaft. The elevator shaft says we succeed and we can gain 1 time. If we fail, we take 2 damage. And the vault says succeed and search the discard for any card to add to your inventory. But if we fail, we lose 3 time. I don't need cards right now, and I don't want to lose time. I would love to gain a time, and we shouldn't fail with all of the manipulation availability to us right now. So let's do the elevator shaft, and we will test. And a 6 is a successful roll, so we get 1 time back, which is awesome. And we keep moving. Test, barricade. Succeed and gain a time, fail and fight a level 3 terrorist. Double 5s is a double success. We are good, and I get a time back. Next card is 1 movement. We need 2 for this hallway. If I can get 1 more, that would be great. Test, duck. Succeed and draw until you find a terrorist and discard it. Or fail and take 2 damage. All right, I don't want to take 2 damage. We got a 3 and a 1. I'm gonna flip this Clarence card to add an 8-sided die to my test. And again, that's a 1. All right, then I'm just going to use, I don't like that, but yeah, I'm gonna use my regroup to turn that 3 into a 5, so we did succeed. Because I don't want to take 2 damage, and it would be nice to get rid of a terrorist. So we're gonna draw until we find a terrorist. Ooh, that's a great one. 3, 4, 5 is gone. Put that back, shuffle these together. And we keep moving on. And there's my second movement. So 2 movement activates this hallway and gets me our next location card, which is the gift shop. The gift shop says either place the chocolate card back in your inventory or gain 1 time. We've got a decent amount of time, and I like that chocolate card. So I'm going to add that back into my inventory. All right, and we keep on going. All right, we've got a hostage that we could get. Ooh, okay. We've got a movement, and there's a double movement needed for this hallway, but that's too noise. But again, I've got lots of ammo. I've got lots of health. We've got plenty of time. I'm not worried. Let's keep going. Great. There's 2 movement for a location. We will use those 2 to activate this hallway and get our next location, which is the stairwell. It says draw 3 cards. If any of them are a terrorist, it attacks you. Shuffle all other cards back into the deck. 1, haha, there's my terrorist, so we stop there. We are being attacked by a terrorist. We need a 2 and a 4 to beat this one. I like my odds with a 6 on my shotgun, so I'm going to roll 1 shotgun shell. We got an 8, which easily kills 2 and 4. And I discard them, draw 2 more cards, and I get to keep this flashlight, which allows me to draw 3 cards and keep a hostage if I find one. I'm running out of space. Oops, sorry, that should go back in the middle of the deck. And then we keep moving. There's a door, we need a key. That's going to be tricky with this few cards, but we might get lucky. There's some noise. There's another door that needs a key. Ooh, there's a key. Perfect. All right, so we're going to use this key to open this door. Drawing 2 of these. We've got the boardroom and the office. The boardroom says test. Succeed and gain 1 time. Fail and search the desk for a hostage card and remove it from the game. Or office. Test, succeed, and search the deck for a distraction card. Or fail and lose 2 time. I'd rather have time than a distraction. So let's roll for the boardroom. We roll, I get a 5. We succeed, gives me 1 time back again. And we keep going. There's only 2 location cards left, which means one of them is the roof. So we may actually make it out of here. Oops, what is this? Sorry. Those should have been discarded there. All right, we turn over the next card, which is a terrorist. But it's only a 3, so I don't care. I'm going to push on. Oh, and there's our second terrorist. We're going to keep that one. All right, so this terrorist has a hostage symbol here, which means if we do not kill him, instead of taking damage ourselves, we're going to kill 1 hostage, which means this hostage right here will be removed from the game. All right. I'm just going to punch him. I don't need to use any weapons. I'll roll 1 6-sided die, just a 3 or higher, and I have the ability to reroll single dice twice and reroll any dice 1 more time. So we should be okay. And I get a 2. Well, I'm going to discard a distraction. Try again. Again, discarding a distraction. I just realized I didn't lose time for shooting him, so I'm doing that now. And there's my 3. He is taken out. I draw 1 card. It is not an item or a weapon or a hostage, so it will be placed in the middle of the deck. And we keep going. I've got a hallway with a key. I would love a door right now. Nope, I've got another hallway. And I've got another hallway. Lots of noise, but we're out of cards, so we're going to shuffle the deck. Now, we got a lot of cards left and not a whole lot of locations left, so I'm just going to start using some of my inventory. I'm going to use the flashlight that says I can draw 3 cards, and if I find a hostage, I get to keep it. So 1, 2, 3, no hostages. Those will get shuffled back in. And then we're going to do the same thing here with the radio. That lets me draw for terrorists and get rid of them. That's amazing. We just got 3 really nasty terrorists in a row, so those are going away. All right, so we are going to keep pushing on because these are all location possibilities, and I'm not really worried about terrorists right now, and I'd like to get through that deck. So we flip over another card, and there we go. We've got a key. We've got a key that we can use. We will activate that door, which means we get the last 2 locations, and clearly I'm going to choose the roof. So now we have our final showdown against Lars. He's got a 4, 5, 6 that we need to hit. Yes. All right. So let's see what we can do. I need to, first things first, spend a time to reload my shotgun. So then I get 2 10-sided dice. And then I'm going to spend a time to attack. I roll a 2 and a 1, which does nothing for me. Wow, that's horrible. All right, so we miss and we take a damage. All right, so that's the end of our shotgun. Ah, no. I'm going to discard the chocolates to let me re-roll those dice. Let's hold off to see if we lose that health. Now I get a 5 and a 2. 5 and a 2 is going to knock off that 5 at least. So we still need a 4 and a 6. So those go away and I do take that damage. So let's just shoot off my handgun. I'm going to drop that down to a 10. And we will roll all 4 dice. I need a 4 and a 6 to defeat him. And there's my 4 and there's my 6. We've successfully escaped to the roof and defeated Lars to win the game. All right, so while we're down here, I just want to show you a closer look at the components. You've basically seen all the components as we've been playing, and everything is here on the table in front of you. The dice are very nice colors. They're very clear. They're very easy to see the numbers. All of the iconography, all of the symbols are very easy to understand, and the artwork in this game is sort of monochrome blue and white colored art that looks really cool. I love how punchy it looks. It really pulls out the sort of Die Hard theme, and just visually I really like the way that this game looks. One thing I didn't show you is this reference card that explains all of the different icons in case you don't remember what they are, and it also reminds you when you need to use time in the game to do things. Finally, the only other thing is the box itself. I usually show if there's an insert. This game just comes with a box with no insert, but that's fine. Everything fits very nicely in there. Just put some things in some bags and throw them in a box, and there's not an issue whatsoever. It's a really nice, very sturdy box. Again, very nice design on the box. Yeah, so that's Hunted Kobayashi Tower. I'm going to show you a playthrough of the other game now, Hunted Mining Colony 415, and then I'll meet you back up top to let you know what I think about the games. All right, so here we are all set up for Hunted Mining Colony 415, and everything is basically set up exactly the same way as it was for Kobayashi Tower, meaning we've got our Hunted deck here that's been shuffled. We've got our location deck here, and instead of the roof, it's a landing pad, but it's the same thing in the bottom 3 cards. Somewhere is the landing pad, and we need to get there and complete the battle at the end to escape. Our player board is here with our health starting at 6 and our time starting at 20. But otherwise, the only difference is here you see we don't have anything that's reroll like the chocolates in the last game, and that's because there are no dice in this version of the game. Instead of using dice for battles and tests, we are instead going to be using a bit of a dexterity element, and we're going to be throwing tokens into the box lid here. We've put this card, and you can see there's a sort of a circle target here that we need to hit with the tokens that we're throwing inside. So instead of rolling a certain number on a die, we need to have a certain number of tokens landing inside that circle to be successful. For the tests, instead of using 2 dice and 1 die, it will be a difference of the size of the token we are throwing for tests. So this is for the tests at health 4, 5, and 6, and this is for the tests at health of 1, 2, and 3. And also because we don't have that reroll card, instead we have this one token that will allow us to rethrow any number of tokens on a single toss. Otherwise, the game pretty much plays out the same way. The only difference is in this game, instead of hostages, there are crew members. And if any of the crew members are killed by an alien, they're removed completely from the game. And then we will shuffle in one of these extra alien cards into the deck. Also, I will be playing on the standard mode, but if you want to play on the harder mode, there's an other side to the target that just shrinks the size of the target that you're aiming for. So with that being said, let's go right ahead and get into the playthrough. So we'll start by turning over our top card. And here's our first crew member, Terrence. He would give me a key. I need 2 search icons to find him. All right, here's a corridor. We need a movement to get a location. That's our first noise. And here I have a search and a movement. This is a door that I need a key to open too. We don't have any keys. I only have 1 noise, so I'm going to push 1 more just to see what we get. We get our first test. It says, if you fail, take 1 damage. So we are going to throw our big test token into the box. And let's see how we do. And you can see that we were able to get overlapping the line. We have successfully completed the test, so we don't take any damage. That gets discarded. Still only 1 noise and no aliens, so we will go again and see what happens. Great. This would be a cool thing to have. This auto gun allows me to discard an alien that's been added to the row, but this is my key, and I can open this door, which gets me to locations. So we've got a choice between the reactor and the laboratory. The laboratory says, you may lose 1 time to draw until you find an alien card and discard it from the game. Or we can draw 5 cards, and if one of them is an alien, it attacks us. And then shuffle all of the other non-alien cards back into the deck. I don't want to be attacked, and I would love to potentially lose an alien from the game. So we will go to the laboratory using 1 time, and we will draw until we find an alien card. Well, there you go. The top card was an alien card, and that says discard from the game. So that card is eliminated from the game, and we continue moving forward. There's an alien. It's a 2. We've got a lot of time left. I would love to use this corridor card, but I don't really want to fight an alien if I don't have to. So I'm going to hide to wipe that. And we will continue. Of course, there's the foot or the movement we would have needed to get that corridor, but now we have a door that we need a key to open. So let's see what happens. Another door that we need a key. And we got very lucky. There's another key right there. So we're going to use this with that door because that door has noise, and I'd like to get rid of the noise. So that gets discarded. And we get 2, right? That key was 2 locations. So 1, 2, and we look at the cards. We've got Broken Bridge or the Commons. Broken Bridge says, test. If we fail, we take 1 damage and discard a crew card from our inventory. Or the Commons, which says, test, succeed and gain a time, fail, and put this in the middle of the location deck. So we'd have to go through 1 more location. I'm going to try that one because more time would be great. I do have a retoss left if we need it. So let's see how we do. And we managed to pass the test, which means we get 1 time back and we don't have to do another location card, which is great. All right, so we keep on moving. There's another alien, but we don't have any noise yet. We could get another alien come out though. So let's see what happens. No, but there is noise. But we got lucky again. There's our 3rd key, and there's a key here. We get 2 more locations already. So 1, 2, supply room and air ducts. So the air duct says we test, and if we succeed, we'll gain 1 time. If we fail, we fight a 1 damage alien. And the supply room says we can lose 1 time to reload the pulse rifle. Our pulse rifle is already filled. So I'm going to try this air ducts in the hope to gain 1 more time, but if not, we fight a simple alien. That's not a big deal. So let's do another test. We toss, and unfortunately, I did not succeed. So we are going to fight a single alien. So I'll leave that right there. And I'm going to shoot 2 bullets at the alien in the hope that that helps. Now, when we shoot at aliens in this game, we do have to choose the weapon that we're using, and we do have to choose how many of the tokens we are throwing in. And then we're going to throw them all at the same time. So I'm going to throw these 2, and I have to hit once. So let's see what happens. I hit with both of them, so we clear that. We don't take any damage, but those don't go back onto the weapon until I reload. And we continue on. Oh, there's another alien, means double aliens. We are triggering, and we are fighting this 2 damage alien. And I don't have more than 2 bullets right now unless I reload, in which case I would lose these 2. So I'm going to try and get lucky and hit them both with just 2. And of course they both miss. So first off, I forgot on the previous alien from the air ducts I had to use 1 time to attack. Now I just used 1 time to attack this alien. I missed, so it is going to hurt me. And then I will use a time to reload. So I discard 1 of these, and I get 1, 2, 3, 4 bullets left. I'm going to shoot 3 at these aliens and hope that we can hit them. All right, here goes. Great, so I missed again with all 3. I take another damage. And actually I realized I think I forgot to lower that again for the shot. We are going to shoot again, but 1's not going to do it. So unfortunately, we're going to reload again, which gets me those 3 again. And yeah, let's see what we do. Come on. Well, all right, we hit them once. I'm doing very poorly. So there's 1 hit. I lose another health, which is going to be horrible because I go down to this small target now. The other problem is in this game, if we ever run out of bullets completely and we don't have a reload, it's game over. We can't punch an alien, unfortunately. So I'm not going to reload now. I'm going to really hope I can kill them with this single bullet. And we did, so they are eliminated. And we keep going. I did it again, though. I didn't lower that when we attack. I will reload, though, now. So that goes down, and we put 4 more bullets in our pulse rifle. I need to find more reloads or more weapons badly, or we're in trouble. All right, so there's another door. There's a corridor that needs 2 movement. We only have 1. Another corridor that needs 2 movement, and we only have 1. All right, test. If you fail, take a damage and discard a crew. We don't have any crew, but we are down to 3 health, so we are testing with the small test token. And we failed. I do not want to take a damage. I am going to try 1 more time with my retoss token. And of course I fail again. So unfortunately that goes there. And we do take 1 damage. But we keep on moving. There's a shoe. All right, so I'm going to use, hold on, no, I want that grenade. I'm going to use one of these locations to take the grenade, which gets me this huge fire token. And then we'll keep going. Oh, great. All right, so I'm going to use this single movement to do this corridor. It gets us 1 location, which is the supply room. It says draw 5 cards. If any of them are a grenade, we put them into the inventory. Otherwise, shuffle them back. Since we just got 1, I'd be surprised. 1, 2, 3, oh, it is 4, 5. So we do get 1 more grenade. And these get shuffled back in. All right, then we move to the next. Android attack. Test, fail and take 2 damage. Great. Well, I'm testing with a small token, and this is an all or nothing, because if I take 2 damage, I'm dead. So we're going to test with the small token. And we got lucky. It bounced back just where I needed it to. We survive to see another day. And of course, we get another test. So I'm searching the deck for a motion detector. I'm going to add it to my inventory and reshuffle automatically. But if I fail, I'm going to take a damage. So we're going to take a motion detector, which is this card right here. And then we'll shuffle these cards back together. And this motion detector works just like the radio in the Kobayashi Tower game, in which I can draw 3 cards, and if any of them are aliens, they get discarded. So I get that card, but now I need to test. And if I fail, I take a damage. So we test, and I fail, and I take 1 damage. So that goes back there, and we keep going. All right. We've got an auto gun, but that needs 2 search. I've got a corridor. All right, why not? I'm going to take these 2 search to get this auto gun, which is going to instantly discard an alien card that's been drawn. And we keep going. Barricade. Test. Succeed and gain a time. Fail and fight 1 level 1 alien. And we test. And I fail. So we are going to fight an alien. I don't want to get hurt, because if I miss, then I lose a health and it's game over. So I'm going to use one of my grenades. And we're going to throw that in. And I do hit it, so we're safe. We keep moving. That grenade is gone. And there's an alien. We're going to keep going. I've got that auto gun that's instantly going to kill things if I needed to. There's a crew member who basically has a grenade, which is nice. And there's another grenade. That means we've got to fight that alien. And again, I don't want to die, so I'm going to throw my grenade. And we hit it, it's gone. And we keep going, but my grenade is now done. We've got a corridor. Ooh, and that's a huge alien. 3 hits needed. I'm going to use my auto gun to immediately discard that alien, so I don't have to deal with it. And great, here's a door, we've got a key. I'm going to open the door and take 2 locations. We got barracks and med bay. Med bay says I can lose 1 time to gain 2 health. I'm not even going to look at the barracks. Well, I'll show it to you anyway. The barracks says you may lose 1 time to search the deck for sprinkles, which is a cat, and add it to your inventory. I need the health, so I'm going to the med bay. I will use, I didn't lower my time for either of the last 2 alien grenade attacks, so I do that. Lose 1 time to gain 2 health, which is still the small test. That's okay. Keep going. Ooh, that's a triple alien. I'm not even going to risk it. I'm going to hide. That goes away. All right, motion detector. Well, there's sprinkles. Sprinkles is a retoss token. But that's also 2 alarms. Well, I'm going to push once and see what happens. Yeah, great. Well, nothing changed. I'll push again. Test. If you succeed, gain 1 time. No fail problem, so that's good. We succeed. We gain 1 time back. And I push once more. Test. If you succeed, gain 2 time. I failed. Push. All right, this is not helpful right now. I don't get any search things. I'm going to clear that. A laser rifle would be awesome to have. I need to search for that. There's a search or a potential location. There's a corridor. Yeah, I need to push towards the end. I'm going to use the rifle to get a location card, which is the morgue. You may lose one time to add a key to your inventory. Yes, please. So I will do that, and I get a key. And we keep going. Test. If you fail, take a damage and discard a crew. This could be it. Oh, no, that's right. We healed. We're okay. Test. Success. No damage. We keep going. Corridor. Another corridor. There's double sound. Ooh. Yes, great. I'm using the movement here for this corridor. We get one more location. It's the trash compactor, which says, tests. Succeed and you may lose one time to search for a card and add it to your inventory. Fail and take a damage. I would love to get a weapon. Let's see if we can pass this test. No, we cannot. We failed, we take a damage. All right, we keep on going. There's an alien. It's just a 1, but I don't have a whole lot of weapons left, so I'm going to rest or hide so that they all go away. And we'll keep going. Test. If you fail, take 2 damage. This could be it. Let's see if I can pass this. We can. Sweet. So that is good. We keep on moving. This is pretty good. We're getting there. We're getting there. All right, here's a grenade. Sound, but we're okay. Medkit would be very nice to have. But again, we need to search for that. All right, what do we got here? A door. I need a key. Oh, I have a key. I'm going to use this key token to open this door because that gets rid of a noise and gets me 2 more locations. We've got communications and satellite dish. Satellite dish says, test. Succeed and gain 1 time, fail and lose 1 time. Communications say draw the 3 cards, place them back in any order. Let's do that. So we've got 1, 2, 3. All right, it would be nice to have ammo for my gun. And that is a search. So if I have search and then I get this, and then I know this guy is coming, perfect. All right. Whoops. All right, so there's the corridor I was talking about. Here's the ammo. I'm going to use this card to get that ammo. And then the alien comes out. Now we've got a noise and a level 2 alien. I'm going to use a time to wipe that. I'm hiding. We've only got 2 cards left in the location. We could do this. There's another level 2 alien. I really don't want to fight right now. Let's hope it's not another alien. It's a med kit. It's Hobbs, but that's noise and I really don't want to fight that. I'm hiding again. We're getting super close to the end. Test. Draw until you find a crew card. Succeed and add it to your inventory. Fail and discard it. All right, there are no crew cards in here, so we're going to reshuffle the discard and we'll keep drawing that. Nope, nope. All right, there's our first crew. So we'll do that. And we'll see first if we get that, because if we don't, he goes back in. No, he gets discarded if we fail. All right. Then we got it. All right, so Hobbs is joining us, which is great. He gets 3 extra shots, which would be amazing to have against the queen if we make it to the landing pad. So we got to reshuffle this. And we keep going. Corridor. Another corridor. That's double noise though. I'm pushing. Yeah, I want to get rid of the noise. I'm going to use this corridor to take this med kit. And we'll keep going. Nope, we need a key or 2. And there's noise, and that is an alien. So we are going to shoot this alien. I'm going to use 2 bullets. And let's see what we can do. We hit it. Great. Because that would have killed our crew, and I don't want that to happen. All right, keeping on. Ammo. Aliens. First noise. We need a key to get that door open. And there's more noise. That's too bad. All right, so we are fighting these aliens. And I've got 2 gun bullets in my gun. And we shoot. We hit once. So I take a damage. Oh, sorry, that was a shot. And the last alien also a shot. We're in trouble. Yeah, unfortunately, I am going to lose right now because I don't have any bullets. I spend 1 to, well, I use this to get another clip, which means I can add another reload. Then I use that to reload this gun, which gets me 4 bullets, but we're out of time. We don't have any more time to play to shoot the alien. So unfortunately, even though we are very close to the end, we're out of time and I've lost the game. So again, while we're down here, I do want to discuss the components of the game. Everything again you see here is basically what is in the game. The color palette this time is red and white, or red, orange, and white instead of the blue and white that we had in Kobayashi Tower, but the design, the illustration, just everything about it still looks wonderful. I really, really, really love the way that this whole series of games is looking. These tokens are really, really great. The different weapons, we didn't see them all, but there's a flamethrower kind of weapon. There are these laser weapons that offer these sort of long, skinny ones. We saw the giant grenade. So there's just really cool difference in the different kind of weapons you're shooting and how easy it will be to hit the target. We'll talk more about the mechanisms of the game, but this target is a really cool thing, and I like that there's an easy mode and a hard mode, although you saw from my playthrough right now, I didn't need the hard mode. One more thing, while we're down here and I can show you easily, I didn't talk about it in the Kobayashi game, but there are rules in the instructions that when you win the game, you can actually add up based on how much health you have left, how much time you have left, and how many crew members or hostages you have either face up or face down in your inventory. You can give yourself a score to see how well you did in the game, but realistically for me, a win or a loss is basically good enough. But we'll talk more about that when we get up top. So meet me back up top and we'll talk about how I feel about the games. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the playthrough. I do want to apologize up front for all of the small mistakes that I did make while I was playing the game, but I do still feel that my playthrough is representative of the game and it should still give you a good idea about how the game plays. Now, with that being said, the one mistake that I did make repeatedly throughout the video is sort of the usage of time and how we lose these units of time to do things throughout the game. And I want to focus on that now while I've already mentioned it and while I'm already talking about it. This is not reflective of my overall feeling of the game, but it is important and it does influence how I feel about the game. And that's, again, the usage of time units in this game. Every time you attack an enemy, you have to lose 1 unit of time. Every time you reload a weapon, you lose 1 unit of time. Every time you hide from the enemies, you lose a unit of time. And then there are other cards that are going to make you gain or lose time depending on tests that you've passed, and so on. This mechanic is a very interesting mechanic because this ticking time is a very big part of the game, and it does very much influence this idea of pushing your luck throughout the game. And the push your luck aspect of this game is something that I really do enjoy. And that's because it really brings the tension into the game, right? This game is pretty thematic. If you're a big fan of Die Hard, or if you're a big fan of the Aliens franchise, it definitely puts you into that world, and this push your luck adds to the tension and adds to this feeling of dread and am I going to make it out? Am I going to survive this experience? And the usage of time in that is a very, very, very important one. But the reason I'm bringing this up here is because I did make that mistake many, many times, and this is not the only time that I've made that mistake. The ticking down of time for all of these different things that you do, and only in certain situations but not in other situations, is something that you sort of always have to have on the back of your mind while you're playing this game. And it does pull you out of the game just a little bit, and it does get a little bit fiddly because it is something that's easy to overlook as you are flipping cards, as you are digging through the deck looking for a card that you've won from a fight, as you are doing all of these other things. To remember every single time to move that cube down 1 space, you might forget it here and there. And ultimately it's not a huge big deal because this is predominantly a solo game, and the only person that you're affecting is yourself. But it is worth mentioning because that fiddliness is there. But without it, that pressure to sort of worry about, can I hide now? Can I waste the time to do that? Can I attack this person multiple times, or should I try and use all of my attacks at once to prevent using extra time? These are all things that you need to consider, and these are all things that are important to how the game plays. So I can't say that I don't like the usage of this mechanism. I just have to point out that it is a little bit fiddly, and it is something that you will have to keep an eye on all time throughout the game. Now, beyond that, let's get further into how I feel about this game, because this is sort of a mixed bag for me. To begin with, I love the concept of the game. I love the ideas of the game. I love the design and the artwork and all of that I already talked about in the components. All of that is great to me. I'm a big fan of the Die Hard franchise. I'm a big fan of the Aliens franchise. And I feel those themes coming through in this. As I mentioned already, I feel the tension. When I'm pushing my luck, when I'm turning over that next card, am I going to draw another noise? Am I going to draw another enemy card? Will I have to fight? Do I have the resources available to me to fight? You'll see at the end of the Aliens game that I just played through, the Mining Colony 415 game, at the beginning of the game, I thought I was going to lose really badly. And then I started getting better and better and better, and I was just 2 cards left in the location deck at the end of the game, and I ran out of ammo. And then I didn't have the time to reload and continue my battle and continue on through the game. So all of these things are important, and all of these things are pushing that tension and making you really feel as if you're going through this situation. And that's great to me. But as much fun as I have playing this game, I'm not always super thrilled about bringing the game out. And I don't know what that is or why that is. This is not a game that instantly I need to pull that off the shelf and play it. But every time that I do pull it off the shelf and get it on the table and play it, I have a great time with it. I have a great experience with it. So there's something here for sure. It doesn't connect 100% with me personally, but there is definitely a great core system here, and there's definitely a lot to be had and a lot of interesting experiences to be had playing this game. So let me poke at a little bit about what the negatives are here that might be keeping me away from it. The first big one is the luck, and the luck just means the luck of the draw from the card deck. There is a big deck of cards here. This is a very thick deck. It's going to be pretty difficult to shuffle meaningfully. So you may want to do a 4-pile shuffle and then a riffle shuffle or then an overhand shuffle, and just make sure it's really shuffled, because if you start getting cards all in a row, based on a previous play that you played, you might get some weird draws coming up. But even if you do shuffle, everything is sort of luck based. Yes, there's a lot of manipulation you can do, right? You can get those regroup tokens in the Kobayashi Tower game. You can think about what kind of weapons you have and prioritize adding weapons and prioritize adding items before you start tackling locations. Maybe I start attacking the locations too early and then I don't have enough items, so by the end of the game I'm sort of worn out and can't do anything. How you use your time efficiently, whether you're hiding or not hiding, all of these things are meaningful choices and they do help you manipulate what's coming out. But if you keep getting cards that don't have items that match other cards, then there's nothing you can do. If you keep getting battle after battle or noise that triggers battle after battle and you're just wearing down and wearing down after all of these fights, and then you have to take that test, and well, we'll get to that because that's another thing, but as you're doing this, if the cards just come out in a bad way, there's not always anything you can do about it. And then there's also the way that tests are happening. And we'll get to positives about that in a minute because there are a lot of positives about that. But while we're talking about this, a negative about the tests is that as you start taking damage, in the Kobayashi Tower, you roll 1 die instead of 2 for tests. And in the mining colony game, you're throwing a smaller tile or a smaller token onto the target than you would if you're at higher health. So as things get harder, then they also get progressively harder because of the way that the test system works as well. So if this luck just starts coming up poorly, then your luck just keeps barreling and getting bigger and bigger negative, and then there's just nothing you can do about it. Now, the game is not that long. If you have a bad experience, you can always reset and have another good experience, but that luck is there. And especially in the Kobayashi Tower system, when you're rolling dice, if you have bad luck from the cards and then your dice are not rolling the way that you want them to roll, that compounding bad luck can feel pretty bad because it feels like everything is out of control for you. But let's talk a little bit more about that, the testing system and the battle system. Kobayashi Tower is based on dice, and I said, as I mentioned already, the rolling of the dice adds another layer of luck that you may or may not like. And at first play, when the couple times I played Kobayashi Tower, I was rolling really badly and I really wasn't getting into it. Now, in the mining colony game, you've got this unique dexterity system where you're throwing these tokens to try and hit a target. And while I'm not very good at it yet, this is something that you could build a skill on and eliminate a lot of the luck in the game that way. So that actually I like a lot, that there's this extra level of throwing these tokens, and that adds a lot of excitement to the game because now I'm tense, and the more tense I get, the less likely it is that I'm throwing well. So that adds more to that feeling of getting into this world that you're supposed to be in and feeling as if you're actually doing the things that are coming up in the cards that you're doing. And I like that a lot. With that being said though, as I mentioned with the Kobayashi Tower, as I started playing originally, I was rolling poorly, wasn't really enjoying it. And then I had a game where I did really, really, really well. And everything came up nicely. And then I started thinking about the patterns and thinking about maybe I just wasn't doing things well. Maybe I wasn't hiding enough. Maybe I was scared to use the time as much as I should be using the time. And I started doing that more and more. And the more I did that, the better I started doing. And the better I started doing and the more I started learning these patterns, the more I started enjoying the game. And that luck of the dice added to the tension, added to the pusher luck, and I started to appreciate that luck. So it's not just a negative. I'm starting to enjoy that negative because if I can get over it, it feels exciting. It feels really good to get past that negative luck. And on the other hand, with the Mining Colony 415, I really, really do enjoy that dexterity system. But the more I play it and the more I realize how bad I am at that dexterity system, the worse that's feeling to me. And that's because with the dice, if something goes wrong, I can blame it on the dice. With the dexterity piece, if something goes wrong, that's my fault. Everything I'm doing badly is me. Yes, of course, how they ricochet off the inside of the box is semi luck based, but not really. It's physics. It's happening based on physically what I am doing. And I can't blame anybody but myself when that goes wrong. And that hurts a little bit. So it makes me feel bad in some way. But at the same time, it makes me feel like I need to try harder and I need to play more so I can get good at this. So I know this is a little bit of conflicting information coming out of my mouth. But as I said, the core of this game is there. The core of this game is a lot of fun. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I still am not convinced myself that this is a game I will pull off my shelf over some of my other games. But I do know that if I push myself to pull either of these games down and put it out on the table, I will always have a good time playing these games. And I definitely recommend, if you're a fan of Die Hard, if you're a fan of Aliens, definitely check these games out. They're quick games, they're very thematic, the artwork is great, the experience is always exciting whether you do well or poorly, and it's definitely worth checking these out. Now, with that said, I do know that the Kickstarter just ended on the third game in this series, Woad Ridge, and that one takes the dice system from Kobayashi Tower but twists it a bit and makes it more interesting. And on top of that, adds in a storybook and some more thematic story elements. And to me, I think Woad Ridge might be the one that completely sells this system to me. I like the core. There were some things about these two games that I wasn't entirely thrilled with, but I suspect that if I get a chance to try out Woad Ridge, the addition of those extra story elements, the twist on the dice mechanics, I think all of this together is probably going to be the version of this game that I'm really going to be happy with. So I look forward to trying out Woad Ridge. With all that being said, again, if this seems like the kind of game you'd be interested in, especially if you like Aliens or Die Hard, I definitely strongly recommend you check these out. I would definitely also recommend you go check out Woad Ridge. You should probably be able to late pledge it now if you haven't already backed it. That's got a sort of Stranger Things theme attached to it, and as I mentioned, it's got some story thrown in there. It's got some new unique dice mechanics thrown in there. Definitely check those all out. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.